Good evening. It is June 24th, and we're about to start the board meeting for the Hollister School District and for closed session. Do I have a roll call? Trustee Toasty, are you
Here.
Trustee Rios?
Here.
Trustee White-Davis?
Here.
Trustee Gris? Here. And I am here, so we're all here, and we're going to, do I have a motion to convene the meeting to close session?
So moved. Second.
Alrighty, so we will now at 5:03 move the meeting to closed session. to order. Can we please rise for the flag salute? Ready, salute?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we're on agenda item number 7, and we have one closed session announcement. In closed session, the board took action to release and non-reelect a certificated administrative employee identified by employee number 42614, effective at the end of the 24-25 school year, and directed the superintendent or designee to send out appropriate legal notices. The roll call vote was unanimous as follows, 5-0. Moving on to agenda item 8. Before we approve the agenda, we have someone who wants to make an amendment.
Yes, I would like to pull consent item 11D for discussion, please.
Okay, so you're making a motion for that?
I'd like to make
Do
a
I have
motion.
a second?
I second.
Roll call, trustee Tosti?
Yes.
Trustee Rios?
Yes.
Trustee Martinez?
Yes.
Trustee Chris? Yes. And I'm an aye as well. So we will pull consent item D for discussion. Now do I have a motion to approve the rest of the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, roll call, trustee Tosti?
Yes.
Trustee Rios?
Yes.
Trustee Martinez?
Yes.
Trustee Chris?
Yes.
And I'm an aye as well. Okay, let's move to number 9, public comments. Do we have any public comments?
Yes. We have Rachel Nemezio.
I would actually like to cede my time to the next public comment, please.
Okay, Evelyn Secco.
Can you make it 6?
My name is Evelyn Sacco, and I recently completed my 29th year with the Hollister School District. 12 of those years at Sarah Vista Elementary School. For the past 11 years, I have served as the intervention teacher and have consistently gone above and beyond to support our students and community as a student-focused, dedicated district employee. Over the years, I have given a birthday card to each student for the past 10 years, been honored as Teacher of the Year for multiple times, helped organize and recruit for our annual STEAM Fair, founded and coordinated the Sarah Vista Art Show, organizing and displaying student art each year. Successfully applied for and received a grant from the San Vito Art Council to expand the art show to include a glow show, which was a huge success. Supported LPAC meetings, once engaging up to 16 parents, which is not a small feat. Taught migrant students after school, as well as Yale Achieve to support our multilingual learners. Taught summer school for multiple years. I did all of this for the students. Over the course of my 29-year career, I had absolutely no personnel discipline on record, reprimands, or negative evaluations. What brings me here tonight? I learned a very long time ago that there are two sides to everything. I am here tonight to share mine because on May 23rd, with just 8 school days left in the year, I was informed that I was being involuntarily transferred to HDLA. I was stunned. Given my record of service, dedication, this decision made no sense, especially as there had been no prior conversations from either Sarah Vista, administration, or the district office. I was deeply hurt that no one valued or respected me enough to even speak with me before delivering the transfer letter. I then had just 8 days to gather my own boxes, pack my belongings, move art supplies and pack materials, ensure that the aides that had what they needed for the next school year, and most painfully, say goodbye. Saying goodbye to the 4 colleagues I worked alongside every day was incredibly difficult. I am 55 years old and was told to move with no explanation. I felt disrespected and devalued, so I made the difficult decision to resign. I attempted to meet with Mr. Ward to deliver my resignation letter and hopefully receive some kind of explanation. I was told his calendar was full, and on Friday, June 6th, and advised to call Monday. Wanting to move forward, I went to the district office at 8 a.m. that Friday, hoping for a brief meeting. I was told Mr. Ward was unavailable as they did not know where he was, and I instead met with Linda Villalone. Mr. Ward never contacted me personally. However, he did send a message to my husband, Bill, regarding a comment he made about the HSD administrative team. Yet even in that message, there was no mention of me, the one who worked for the district for 29 years and submitted the resignation letter. I was the one seeking a conversation. Yet again, my presence, my voice, my contributions were ignored. I was very conflicted about coming tonight, but I have so much respect and admiration for my district colleagues that I could not bear to see this happen again to any of them. No employee in good standing of 29 years should be involuntarily transferred without communication or respect. No employee should ever be ignored by their district administration. No employee should feel punished for attempting to make their school a better place for students. It was never in my plans to finish my career anywhere other than the Hollister School District. Although my reasons for leaving have deeply saddened me, I am optimistic for the chance to move on where I will be valued and continue to make a difference for the students in San Benito County. I would like to do one last thing. I want to give you a copy of the letter that I wrote. And I appreciate your time. And I appreciate all you do for kids. Because that's all I cared about were those kids. And those are the ones I'm gonna miss the most. I appreciate those kids. I don't feel that way, but I do appreciate your comment. Thank you.
Good job, Mrs. Sacco.
Okay, that is the end of our public comment section. We will move on to item number 10, and we have reports this evening. And the first report is the HSD local performance indicators, presented by Dr. Colleen Myers.
Good evening, Board of Trustees, Interim Superintendent Ward. So it is my annual local indicator self-reflection report. This is information that has been collected by the CDE and then put into the reports for the SARCs and our local indicators that will be reported in the dashboard in the fall. So I'll just click through this, and here's the background on why we have our local control, our LCFF priorities, and how this works, okay? So we have priorities that are described in the LCAP, and this report goes over the self-reflection, our increase or decrease in performance. Priority number 1 is the assigned teachers, access to curriculum. So basically this is our Williams information. And so you'll see there that we had a total teaching FTE of 251 in 23-24. Of those, 78.3% were clear. And then it goes through the other assigned teaching percentages. So then we go on to our academic. Any questions on this slide?
Why are we looking at 23, 24?
Because we're always running behind. So basically, I know it's very difficult because like I'm writing an LCAP based on last June's scores. And I think we're getting to that point where we're getting more current. But this is, yeah, it's always like a step behind, unfortunately. I think that's the state, their capacity. So this report is, like I said, it'll go into the dashboard, and so then it'll be imported there.
So when we look at the FTEs, are those just classroom teachers or are they all certificated FTE?
This is classroom teachers, I believe. The teachers that are with our students in classrooms.
Does that include like special day class teachers as well?
I would assume so, yes. Yep. Any other questions on that one? Okay, priority number 2 is implementation of state academic standards. So this is based on a rubric. We have, we evaluate ourselves on the implementation of state academic standards. So we have ELA, ELD, mathematics, science, and social studies, history and social studies. We are in the in the fully implementation and sustainability. So this is, we do have adopted curriculum. We do have PD on that adopted curriculum, and we have work completed with the implementation of standards with our teachers. Then you go into rate the progress of making instructional materials that are aligned. Those are all 5s, like I said, because we have adopted curriculum from the state based on their recommendations. And even with our new enhancements for Benchmark and Eureka Math, then we are fully aligned with adopted academic standards. Okay. Moving on to number 3. We are implementing policies and programs to support staff in identifying areas where they can improve and deliver instruction. These are 5s. We have planning time, we have structured time at the school sites where site administrators facilitate PLCs and support for students. We also have the Ed Services team that supports teachers and administrators as far as their development and standards, and supporting students with walkthroughs and those activities. Any questions?
A minor, but next year it will be truly true because next year the special day classes will have the correct curriculum.
Yes. Yes.
So maybe in your write-up, it will include SPED. So it'll show a difference.
Sure. Yes, in fact, so the second document that I'm not reporting on here, but it was included in the board, is all the narrative on this.
Right.
So I'm condensing that thing down to a couple slides. Absolutely, and that is why it's so exciting for the coordinators at the district level to collaborate and have equal time with the teachers so that they can provide equal services to the teachers that are special ed and gen ed.
So it shows what we're doing.
Yes, absolutely. So that time that they spend doing walkthroughs and coordination here, it's really exciting.
So just so that we show what we're doing, because that's important.
Yes, absolutely. I will definitely include that. Make sure that's in there. Okay, and then we have number 4 is the progress implementing each of the following academic standards adopted by the state board for all students. So we have our CTE, yes we do. Health education, absolutely. PE, yes. Visual and performing arts, yes. And world languages, yes. So that is also considered the broad course of study that we offer to our students. So we have all of that in place. And then we go into rate the LEA's success engaging the following activities with teachers and school administrators during the prior year. So this one is identifying professional learning needs. So we have surveyed our teachers. We know what they are interested in. We've responded to that. I think that we're very receptive and responsive to the needs of our teachers, our staff as a whole. Also with the learning needs of individual teachers. So we have, that's what Emma does really well. She responds and seeks out PD for teachers that have individual needs, such as a teacher that has never taught third grade math before, and so how can we connect them with standards or a PD, so that we do effectively. An area that we'd like to improve is provide support for teachers on the standards that they have not yet mastered. As you know, there's a abyss of standards, and so we are definitely looking forward to the Ed Services department supporting teachers in this as far as identifying essential standards or priority standards, getting back to the support of what were used to be the DWPCs, and so that all teams, all third grade across the district are doing the essential standards. They have the same strategy and approach to those standards, so we have consistent growth across the district in every grade level. Then we move on to priority 3, parent involvement and family engagement. This is building relationships between school staff and families. We did well in this, especially with the addition of the community school liaisons and the implementation of a district liaison. The one area that I think that was received as an area of improvement was progress in supporting staff to learn about each family's strengths, cultures, language, goals for their children. This is an area where we can, it's perceived that we can further engage our families and learn about them and what they are looking for with the educational experience, and how we might learn from them so that we can be better effective with our students. Also for parent involvement and family engagement, based on the analysis of educational partner input and local data, identify the number which best indicates the current stage of implementation for each practice. So here we had providing professional learning and support to teachers and principals to improve schools' capacity with partner and families. This is absolutely achieved with the community schools. So we had a really great event, Hollister Halftime, which we're looking to multiply next year and have at each of the community schools so that it can be responsive to that individual culture, but also open to the entire district. So not just 1, but 5. That's how we roll in Ed Services. We like to multiply. And so I think that's really good. Providing families with information and resources. I think the response was in the parent surveys that families feel that they have support there, that they have somebody they can go to with the liaisons at the community schools, that people respond to them. And so that was a ranking of a 5. And then implementing policies or programs for teachers to meet with families and students. So we host this was a development 2 years ago. The middle schools did not have consistent minimum days as the elementaries, and so we decided that that was something that was essential. We really want to foster those connections throughout the school year, even when the students are in middle grades. So that is very effective. So they have the same day minimum days as they do as the elementaries. And then supporting families to understand, exercise their legal rights and advocate for their own students. Again, a lot of work here with the community schools and the liaisons, supporting the families on their individual needs. What do they need for, to get to school, to have a home for the night? That's where we have a coordinator, Jill Cameron, who has done a phenomenal job really amping up our foster and homeless supports and giving out vouchers. And I remember that a parent couldn't bring a student to school because her car didn't have tires, so she got her tires. And those are the things that you really have to know intimately of these families so that you can provide services and then help that family get to school.
Because I serve on the intergovernmental committee, one of the things that they have been tackling is the homeless community, and I didn't know the answer to a question they asked. Do you know, do students who are actually part of the homeless that might be in the riverbed area or something like that, or out on the streets?
So each year, the families complete a McKinney-Vento
Right.
form, and that is, it can be jarring, the questions that a family are asked, and it can be prying, and I don't think we have an accurate, a truly accurate sense of where our families are, because it can be, you know, there's a stigma around that. And so I think that's where we lean on the liaison relationships to be built, and, you know, to really comfort them. I mean, we have a lot of success with our migrant liaisons. They know how to do this. And so that was extended when the liaisons became community school liaisons too, to really understand they're in a car, and you know what, okay, here's a voucher for, or here you could go to the county and get a voucher for a hotel. We have vouchers at hotels in town. We have vouchers with some local thrift stores. So if a house burns down, or if they, you know, just rolled into town and are living out of their car and they need new shoes or something, here's some resources. So
Do we have
Carol, you gotta talk into the microphone.
I'm sorry. Do we have transportation support for students who might not have cars and to be able to get to school from the hotel or?
yeah, I think, yes, we consider any possible way of breaking down barriers for these students, because they're typically, it will impact their attendance, which we're concerned, and then they're not learning. But we also know that the homeless, if they, the students that are suffering from homelessness, you know, if we can get them to school, now we know that they have food and they have what they need, they have mental health support within the day. But then we can also better understand the family and their needs. So is it that they need, you know, a laundry basket, or do they need coins to go to the laundromat, or what is it that they need? Transportation. So I'm really, really pleased with the addition of Jill this year, and she's just really transformed that, and really kind of, you know, a lot of stuff that I wasn't aware of. She coordinated within, you know, the first month. She said, no, we don't provide this, that's the county. So that's, you know, more resources that we could provide in other ways. So it's really exciting.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, let's see. So I think that is priority 3, and then we're looking at, I kind of got lost.
School climate.
Okay, school climate. Thank you. So this is exciting. So we utilize the Kelvin Pulse surveys to measure student perceptions of school safety and connectedness. If you'll remember, I was ecstatic last year. We had 30% response, and we've only gotten 7 on the LCAP survey and whatnot. So very excited about that, and we were right about that. We were like 42, I believe, in responses here. So 2nd through 3rd graders take this 3 times a year at the beginning, middle, and end of the year. 82% reported feeling connected at school. That meant that there was somebody that cared. They know somebody who cares about them at school. If they need something, they know who to go to. 79% indicated that they felt school was a safe place, that they felt comfortable and they wanted to be there, and that their needs were addressed. 85% expressed that they feel the adults at school care about them, so that's really great. Then we look at 4 through 8. It's a bigger group, and they're older. So we had 75% feeling connected to school. While it's not the same as the 2nd through 8th grade, or 2nd through 3rd, excuse me, it is an improvement from last year. If you look at the LCAP data, the comparison is in there. 70% indicated that they felt safe at school, and 81% expressed that they felt adults at school care about them. So those were all positive indicators that you'll see in the LCAP when we go through that.
So have we thought of ways to try to, first off, I know middle school, they're gonna just answer because they want to. It's not necessarily that's the way they feel, and it could just be the day that they've had. So we never really get a true feeling. But our middle school administrators, have they been given a look-see to this to see maybe how they could possibly improve this? I mean, are there sometimes it's, some fun activities at lunch or,
Yes,
you know,
So-
silly things like that make the day feel better?
right, absolutely. So, you have a consideration before you today about extending a calendar for the coordinators and ed services, and these are the activities that I spoke to earlier, and this, so that they can meet before and after the scheduled or during recess time, during breaks, and that's exactly Emma. She's working with all of these, looking at the PBIS data, what are the students that we need to focus on, what, subgroup do we need to focus on, how do we need to coordinate. She also meets with Eliana, the SE coordinator, so it's combining all of those things, and necessarily when the site administrators are not available during the school day, it's the after time, it's the before school or over break time that Emma really gets to meet with them and do a whole day. Let's look at your data, and now what are we gonna respond to? So that admin can appropriately pay attention to certain student groups or assign
Maybe
services.
ASB very active during lunchtime and break time, it really makes a difference.
Absolutely, yeah, what kind of lunchtime activities can we, and that's all PBIS, that's AVID, that's
Right.
ASB, they all fall under Emma, and she does such a great job at it, and I feel like we're growing, we have more and more schools that are coming on the board on PBIS this next year, and even with AVID, so very excited
Yeah.
for that, good point. Okay, and then we have our broad course of study. So this really just says that we need to ensure that all students have access to rigorous and guaranteed curriculum and a broad course of study. And we do provide that. We have, in the very bottom there, we have all students in grade 4 through 8 have the opportunity to receive music instruction, and students in grades K through 5 and 6 through 8 at the elementary school benefit from the visual arts instruction program with our arts council. We also were able to hire a full-time art teacher last year, and she works with the littles. I don't know if you saw her back to school thing at Sierra Vista, but
It was incredible.
so adorable.
It was incredible.
That she got these 4-year-olds to do this. I mean, it was just so great, so great. So we really hope to find a unicorn like her again, or more and more, as we have Prop 28 responsibilities. But really, yes, we're very thoughtful about our curriculum and the opportunities that our students have in the schools. Any questions?
No, sorry. But we were just talking about how incredible it was.
Yeah,
It
it
was,
was,
when we saw it, it was just.
So did Kathy.
It was
Kathy.
amazing.
and I think it's on YouTube somewhere. We should see if we can put it on our website.
Mrs. Sapari was the one that was behind it.
Oh, and she did the illumination
Black-
cave, or,
She was
whatever.
all behind that.
Yeah, and so, I think it's really good. We have a lot of opportunities for students and diversity. Okay, so this will be in a report on the dashboard and to CDE, unless there's any other questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great job.
Okay, we're gonna move on to item 10B, Superintendent's Report.
Okay, thank you, and this is an opportunity for me to share an update in regards to our Superintendent Erica Sanchez. As most of you know, she dealt with an unexpected medical diagnosis at the beginning of the school year, right in August before school started, and our leader had to step away, and I was honored to accept the role of interim superintendent and to step in and do the best that I could in the position. And I certainly would never, ever assume that I could do the job that Erica has done and will continue to do for us moving forward. I have so much respect and appreciation for her as a leader and someone that I've learned from over the years. And I was humbled to take on this challenge. Erica will be transitioning, as staff knows. We sent out a memo to all staff last week. Erica will be transitioning back to the superintendent role, kind of in a modified, with a modified beginning, working from home. I'll still continue to be here at the office and present and deal with all of the situations as they arise to the best of my ability. And just as a side note to everybody that's listening, every decision that I made, that I thought about, I always thought about what Erica would advise. And that is honestly, sincerely, how much appreciation and respect I have for Erica as a leader and as a superintendent and as a person. She's a genuine, caring person who really cares about the Hollister School District, about all the students, about all the staff. And I can't tell you how excited I am that she's returning in a limited capacity so that we can begin to work together again, and I can improve and make decisions that are best for staff and for students. And I do want to take this opportunity, and I'm pointing over to the cabinet team to thank all of you publicly for everything that you did in Erica's absence, for me, to support me, to make me look a lot better than I am, and just much appreciated. I care about all of you, and I saw, as I've shared, when this happened, I saw how much you truly do care about your jobs, about staff, and about students. So I just want to publicly say thank you, and I do appreciate every one of you, and I look forward to continuing to work with you as we move forward. And a little bit later in the meeting, the board will have an opportunity to extend the interim superintendent contract as a buffer until August 31st, so that as we transition, we have the ability to make sure that Erica's up to speed as she continues to be under doctor's supervision. And as we move forward and we get excited and we think about the day when she can come back to the office, we all look forward to that. And I just wanted to update the public that this is the first step, and I'm excited and grateful, and I'm just very thankful. Thank you.
Thank you. Alrighty, moving on to consent items. I'm on agenda item 11. Do I have a motion to approve the consent items except for item D?
I make a motion that we approve consent items A through C and E through L.
Second.
Second.
Okay, roll call vote. Trustee Toasty?
Aye.
Trustee Rios?
Aye.
Trustee Martinez?
Aye.
Trustee Griss?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. Motion carries. Let's move on now to discussion of item D. Is there someone who would like to begin the discussion?
Sure.
No?
I think we give it to Kip to kind of go through.
You're correct.
The
Thank
explanation.
you. Thank you, Liz.
Yep, thank you. So the request at hand is to move the rest of the district office coordinators from a 205 calendar to a 215 calendar, and Dr. Myers referenced that in her presentation. The need for that is obvious when we look at the amount of work and effort that the four coordinators put in on a regular basis in the Ed Services Department. And just as a side note, all of the district office coordinators that work in the Special Education Department, they're on a 215-day calendar, and we feel it's vital to have the Ed Services coordinators move to 215 so that they can have, as Dr. Myers referenced, they can have those extra 5 days before school starts to prepare things such as PBIS and all the different programs and supports with curriculum and new curriculum, and then the additional days at the end of the school year to clean things up and prepare for as the year wraps up. The workload has increased, as it has for everybody, as we're growing, and that department takes on more and more, and obviously you can tell that Dr. Myers does a fantastic job leading that department. And so that's the request at hand, is to move from 205 to 215 so that those coordinators are in alignment with the SPED side of the house.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any more questions or discussion?
I did have a question. So is there a financial impact?
Yes, there is an additional financial impact, and I'll refer to our CBO, Beth Wilson, to speak to that briefly, if you wouldn't mind.
No problem at all. I mean, yes, no problem at all. We are estimating currently that the cost will be $33,000, and that would be all inclusive of STRS and workers' comp and then their salary. Of course, they're not all getting the same because they're in different places on the salary schedule, depending on experience, longevity, and et cetera. So we've made those estimates out there. This is all from categorical funds. All of these people are categorically funded. So none of it's actually hitting the unrestricted general fund, nor does it contribute from the unrestricted general fund. So,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Thank you.
Any more questions, comments, discussion? Okay, do I have a motion to approve item D?
I make a motion that we approve consent item 11D.
I'll second.
Roll call vote, trustee Toasty,
Aye.
trustee Rios,
Aye.
trustee Martinez,
Aye.
trustee Grist,
Aye.
and I'm an aye as well. Thank you. Okay, we're gonna move on now to, on the agenda, item number 12, which is approval of regular board meeting minutes for April 22nd, 2025, and May 27th, 2025.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I'm on item 12. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the regular board meeting minutes for April 22nd, 25, and May 27th, 25.
Do I have a second?
I second that.
Roll call vote, trustee Toasty,
Aye.
trustee Rios,
Aye.
trustee Martinez,
Aye.
trustee Grist,
Aye.
and I'm an aye as well, motion carries. Moving on to item number 13, discussion and action items. First up is A, discussion and action on approval of 2025 through 2027 HSD local control and accountability plan.
We should probably just put your chair up by the podium.
Let me belly up. So we reviewed the LCAP overview at the special board meeting just last week. And so there have been no structural changes to the LCAP. And the proposal is the document included for the goals 1, 2, and 3. And putting forth included was the budget overview for parents. There you can see that I did not create a presentation since we saw it last Tuesday, but I can answer any questions if you have any on the actual LCAP.
I do have more a comment than a question. I just want to thank you for all of the trouble and the hard work that you put into it. The document makes sense. Our preview last week was very detailed. We were able to comment on that, and I appreciate the ability that we were able to do that. I find it very, I like the way it keeps us, task oriented. We know what we're doing. Do I wish our test scores were better? Yes, but it does show that we have a plan and that we're going. We're not,
A good plan, a
Right.
thoughtful plan.
and it's based on what we know and what we can do.
Right.
And I don't feel like someone asked me today, well, how's the general health of the district? I met with retirees today. We meet once a month. I said, it's good. He said, we're financially solvent. Thank you, Beth. And we have a plan. And I feel that we're structured. Can we do better? Of course.
Of course.
And we're always striving to do that. But, with your leadership and your guidance, and the people that you have around you that are helping, I just really want to compliment you. I think this has been a good deal.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it's the challenge is taking so much data. We had, over 100 respondents to the survey. We had every school site provide feedback. Parents, students, everyone taking all of that and then summarizing it. So really, if I had to showcase the pieces that I am most proud of, is that there's a lot of positive trends in this LCAP.
Absolutely.
And so the successes that are indicated in here are refreshing. And I mean, the trend lines are up. Our feedback for student reply is up. We are making small gains in our local data as far as STAR and whatnot, and early indications are hopefully positive for our early analysis of CASP, and it's just a little bit at a time.
But I also like what we have to do. Looking at it, when you read this and you see, well, we need to work on this or we need to work on that. It's not just shine on.
Yeah.
It was very positive, and I like that. That we're just not. I don't know, but, you know, when I started teaching in the 90s, the whole language, you know, we were just flying by the seat of our pants. It was crazy town. And this, you know, as a teacher, you feel like you're not left hanging in the wind. I mean, you've got a plan. And I think that's really neat. I just really commend you, and I hope you're bringing in the teachers to help you with this, that it looks like it, that we're getting the support, the teachers are getting the time and support they need.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I just had some responses for differentiated assistance today, and so we have a big group. I described it at our last meeting,
Right.
and I think that's really the crux of it all, is that everybody has a place at the table.
Well, and we have to remember the parents as well.
Yes, absolutely.
They are a key component to making our district. If you look at successful districts, the parents play a key role.
And yes, exactly. Our DLAC, Jennifer, had great feedback from them and engaged them in walkthroughs, and we learned a lot from their perspective. Like I said, everybody gets a place at the table, and we learned a lot when we had CSEA join us this year, and liaisons, and you know, those staff members too, because they see it from a totally different lens. You know, I see it from academics, but they're like, wait a minute, this is an issue here.
But if you grab parents that are students that have C's and B's, you know, the ones that are kind of falling through the cracks, and get those parents to come in and do a walkthrough with you. See how they see the school, not just our A kids, but the ones that I think you're gonna get even a different viewpoint.
Absolutely.
And we need to reach those parents, and if we can get those parents to come in, I think you're gonna see things in a different way, and if all it does is it's gonna help us improve.
Absolutely.
So, and the teachers wanna know that. They wanna do well.
Yep, I agree.
So, I just really want to compliment everybody on this, because it shows all the hard work that's going on in the district.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm just the author of it. I gather everything, but it's really the teachers, the staff,
Oh,
the
yeah,
parents,
for sure.
everybody that puts in the blood, sweat, and tears into it.
And
we're
it shows what the
getting-
teachers are doing.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with that. And we're getting better. Our chronic absenteeism is going down. Our attendance is going up. Our STAR scores are going up. We're getting bigger. So we're taking in more, which would seem to think that it's going to be more difficult of a burden, but it's happening. Referral rates to office for discipline are going down. Teachers are able to their first intervention for behavior. SPED referral rates are going down. We're better, we're more effective in responding to student needs proficiently. So it's just, so many things are getting better, and I just am so excited to keep this ball rolling for that. And I do appreciate your consideration of the extending the calendars, because I've got some workhorses, man, and they are they're at home already, like doing some sort of spreadsheet, and I'm gonna see it tomorrow. Okay, here we go. So, yes, thank you, Jen.
Well, I think I
Trustee
spoke
Chris.
for the whole board.
Yes.
Thank you.
We all feel that way.
Thank you.
I appreciate that.
Everybody feels that way. And
It's-
when I was reading it, I'm like, oh. But then I'm reading it, and I'm going, you know what? Oh, look.
I'm gonna have to sneak in like a murder mystery or something in there.
But I was looking, the analysis is just really great, you know, and you're reading this stuff, and it's just like, yeah, and
It was like 140 pages.
Yeah.
I like reading over the weekend.
Good job.
So,
But a huge lift, I think, when everyone is lifting in the same direction, the load becomes lighter.
yeah.
I think that says a lot about the folks that you incorporate on the team, because like you said, one person can't do it. We have to rely on each other to make this district be what we want it to be. And
Absolutely.
it takes all of us to do that.
And respect everybody that's doing it, and that's a
Yes.
key player. We have to respect everybody that's doing it.
Yeah, everybody has an equal seat at the table. There's no, I were, trump you, or you, whatever. There's none of that. Everybody is a human, and everybody can contribute to this. And I'm just so pleased with all the work that we've done this year, given the circumstances. And I mean, I think the game changer was not only expanding our differentiated assistance team, but when we ran that same process with our SPED Unite team, that just really opened, you know, heaven's gates.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just a
And
miracle.
I wonder what it's gonna be like if you can get the team of C and D students.
Yes,
I think you're really gonna see something.
yeah.
Okay, any more discussion? Any questions? Okay, do I have a motion to approve the 2025 to 2027 HSD LCAP?
I make a motion that we approve the Hollister School District Local Control and Accountability Plan for 2025 to 2027.
I'll second.
Roll call, trustee Tosti?
Aye.
Trustee Rios?
Aye.
Trustee Martinez?
Aye.
Trustee Rist?
Aye.
And I is aye as well. Motion carries.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we are up now with Miss Beth Wilson. So item B, discussion and action on approval of the 25-26 adoption budgets.
As with the local control accountability plan, last week we had our public hearing and kind of gave you some highlights. This has got more information on it, and as we have for the last couple of years, we're providing what I would like to hope is an easy read budget for our public, our families, and our staff. And so I'm just gonna hit a couple of highlights in this. And if we can skip, Brandon, to page 4 of this document. One more, two more. So starting on this page here, we start with our assumptions. How are we building our budget, and what are we thinking when we build the budget? So we've hit a lot of the different areas of revenue limit or LCFF, enrollment, average daily attendance, and then lottery. And as you go on to the next page, some of the other specialized pieces of funding that we've got. This is to give a background as to what we think is going to happen and the basis for why we think that's going to happen. The one thing I want to call your attention to is at the bottom of the next page, the governor's budget proposed a discretionary block grant, and at the time we put this together, we weren't sure whether or not that was going to make it through the legislature, whether there's going to be ties for it, would it be fully discretionary, how much would it be? We got notification today by way of our county office that it made it through both houses in the legislature, and so it's going to go toward votes. And so we do know that we're going to have another discretionary block grant coming. Right now, the estimate is approximately $300 per ADA. I don't know how long it's going to last. Sometimes we've had discretionary block grants that we've had 5 years to spend them. The Learning Recovery Emergency Block Grant, which was not discretionary, but another one of those block grants, we had 7 years to spend it. When they flesh out all the details, we'll have more information. That is not in this budget. Okay, so we will be adding it to the budget as we get more details. The state actually has what they call a resource code, so we can't even budget it if we don't know what how they're gonna tag it. So that's not in the budget, and we'll see that again in first interim. We'll make those adjustments. Going on to the next page, this is just a graphic on our enrollment to ADA, and we are projecting flat ADA and flat enrollment. I know that enrollment projected number is going up, but that also includes some of our kiddos at county programs that come through. We are projecting flat ADA because when our ADA goes up and our enrollment goes up, we will add money to the budget rather than something else like having to take money back from the budget. We've talked about what's happening with inter-district, attendance, students coming into our district from other districts, and how school districts are hanging on to what they've got. They may have room in their classrooms and 2 or 3 more students and 2 or 3 more ADA is important to them, where if they deny coming into our district, they're going to want to hang on to those. So we're going to wait and see. That will be hopefully offset by what the demographer projected we would have in a growth. We are in a wait and see mode. In October, we'll talk more about it in first interim, where we think CBEDS is going to end up.
Beth, how are we, and Kip, how are we dealing with that in regards to teachers in classroom?
What do you mean?
Are we gonna have enough classrooms and teachers to deal with what we don't know we have?
You know what, that's a really hot topic, and I will let you know that we have been squirming over do we have enough classrooms for a full year now, and what are we going to do? Now, one of the biggest things that we have done and is built into this budget is we've got a pretty good idea where the TKs are coming from, and that's our biggest area of growth. And if we can get TKs in here and hang on to them, then they will be with us for their whole career until they get through 8th grade. If they don't come in at TK or kindergarten, the likelihood that they'll come in after that and stick around is less. So we have added 5 TK classrooms and the aides to go with them for next year so that we can accommodate what's going on right now. We're taking enrollments. Kip is, Superintendent Ward is in touch with the school sites and where are their enrollments and where are we going. We're making room. We cleared out 3 classrooms at Sunny Slope, really excited about that. Some older classrooms that had been used for storage for years, and until you know you need it and you go in and say, why is all this in here, you don't clean it out. Now, it's been cleaned out, it's been refurbished, it's getting new paint, it's getting new carpet. Anything else? It's exciting. He talks about going by and looking at it.
IT upgrade, upgrade. I think back in those classrooms you used, there was no IT.
And then because it was storage, it wasn't connected. So all of those things are happening. So yes, we are aware of what's going on and we feel like there is room and we are always looking for where's that other classroom space that's being used for something else. So we are looking and we're just addressing those as they come. Okay, so moving on to the next page. This one is actually, it's a 20,000-foot level of where our funding is coming from, and the important thing I want you to know here is in the middle of that page. Board Member Grist, what percentage of our revenue comes from federal sources?
3.16.
Okay, so that's a lot of money. That's $3 million. I don't scoff at that. But as we talk about how are we feeling about the federal budget and what it's going to do to us, it's a really small part of our total budget. It's an important part, don't get me wrong, but it's a really small part. 91% of our money comes from state sources. The state's not necessarily going to backfill all of these, and yes, migrant is in this budget because at the time that we got this, we were assured that there would be some sort of funding for next year. Within the last couple of days, we're hearing maybe not. We've already talked about the plan we have for migrant and how we're going to evolve that into community outreach and liaisons with the staff that we've got, after school programs, interventions. So if we do have to pull that out, we do have other places for those, and it won't have to be a dollar for dollar replacement. We will take care of the people who are servicing our families and our students, and some of the extras will go away from this type of budget, but can be picked up in other budgets, but maybe not a dollar for dollar. So I don't want you to think we've got $700,000 somewhere else lying around that we're just going to replace migrant with. We are evolving that program into more of an outreach type of a program. Okay, if we don't get the funding. If we do get the funding, then we can continue on. So if we do have to remove it, we've talked about what we, where we would put those people.
Well, and I think we might have a situation where it's gonna be gone for a little bit and then it'll come back, and
It's very likely.
I think we have to plan that it's gonna be gone for a little bit and then hopefully it will come back.
So that's the big thing I want you to note on this page. Moving on to just sort of the picture of how we get the money in on the next page. This pie chart shows you that 75% of our money comes in for all students. And then the other pieces of pie are for those specialized types of students, whether or not it's a special ed, or it's a low income, or it's a migrant and English learner. So we do get most of our money in for all students, and then if you happen to be identified as something else, then there's a little bit of extra money to go on top of that. Okay?
But in the discussion with the federal government, the SPED is supposed to be moved to the health, to Kennedy's department, right?
It's just a matter of, you're not going to handle it anymore, but Board Member Martinez is going to handle it. They're not talking about a change in the money, they're talking about a change in the department.
So you don't see a change in the money for the SPED?
From the federal standpoint, federal money for SPED has been grossly underfunded since its inception.
Right.
So again, with that smallest percentage coming from the federal government, I'm not going to worry about that because we already put $14 million of district funds into that program.
Okay, all
Right,
right.
so the next couple of pages are address staffing. The additions to staffing we talked about last week are addressed in there as to where they're going to go. Health benefits, boy, that's one that we're gonna have to watch for a while. It is just skyrocketing. It went up, for the year that we're budgeting for by 10.85%. The last estimate I had is that it should be increasing by 8%, but that's what they said 2 years ago, and we had almost 11% this year. So we are watching that, but we are definitely projecting an 8%. We'll have to see where it goes from there. PERS and STIRS fairly stable. We talked about that last week. Salary schedule adjustments, we have a tentative agreement with our teachers union. We didn't get it on the board agenda for tonight because there's only so much we could do with such a short amount of time. It is coming in July, but the big thing there is there's two things on that tentative agreement. The first thing is a 2%, which is included in this budget for all of our HESTA members. The other thing is a one-time, that's scheduled to be paid in September. All of those things are happening because we have plenty of lead time. So we'll do the math. We'll bring the AB 1200 to you in July at that board meeting, and I've already got staff getting ready. We've changed salary schedules and are projecting that increase into the teachers section of our staffing. The others we haven't met with, CSEA, and Hal tends to be a follow the leader, and so those two are not included in this budget. Expenditures on the next page, thank you, Brandon. You can see that we're holding pace year over year with our expenditure budget in most areas. Utilities and insurance are a little bit higher this year than they were last year, or
Wait, it's the other way around.
it's the other way around, and I just noticed I did not change the title on the bottom of that.
Oh.
Yellow should be 24-25, and then blue should be 25-26.
Oh, okay.
I apologize for that. You know, you look at these things 12 ways from Sunday and
You were just testing us.
always fun when you find your own
So
mistakes.
yellow is current year?
Yellow is the current year, and the blue is next year.
Oh, next,
The year that we're budgeting for. So it should read yellow, 24-25, and blue, 25-26.
okay.
And primarily the increases, even though we don't have salary schedule increases in there for classified or management, there are step and column moves that are happening on the norm. And the certificated don't go up nearly as much because we've got new teachers in there. So there might have been a little bit more of a differential, but we've added new teachers on the lower end of the salary scale as we talk about, for instance, those 5 TK teachers that we planned for.
So employee benefits, is that, because I know we do the bridge benefits for people that retire, right, the 62.
Oh, the other post-employment.
Yeah, is
That's
that
included
part of
in-
this?
Yeah.
Okay, because I saw those numbers and.
So it includes other post-employment benefits, which is health and welfare for our retirees between 62 and 65. And then all of the active employees, insurance, the PERS, the STIRS, the workers' comp,
Okay.
social security, all of that is included in employee benefits, the big chunk.
Got it. Okay.
And as you look at that, you can see that for all of the different categories that we have for expenditures, a huge chunk is coming out for employee benefits. Right? Obviously, we invest a lot of money in our staff, all staff. At the top, we talk about 78% of the general fund expenditures, which includes categoricals, are going to staffing. 91% of that in the unrestricted side alone. Okay, so there's that number that you remember from previous years. So we are heavily invested in staff. The LCAP is heavily invested in staff for those other things that we need, and that leaves 22% for everything else, including insurance and utilities. Those are the two largest chunks that we have out of the balance of the rest of the budget. Okay. Moving on to non-employee costs, we're just kind of letting you know about various different allocations. We signed a 3-year contract with our transportation company, and it has a 20.5% increase built into it for each one of the years. So our transportation costs are going to go up by 20.5% current year to the budget year. Routine restricted maintenance is required to have a 3% contribution, which is $3 million, so that's in there. That's not changed from last year. We round up because trying to follow the different dollars. So we gave a little bit more than we had to last year, and we're giving a smaller little bit more than we need to for this year. Various different other things. You've got your insurance, the effects of social inflation, and statewide events. result in a preliminary projection for insurance, and that is the liability side alone of an increase of about 37%. And when we talk about social inflation, we are talking about the effects of AB 218 and what is happening. That is the sexual abuse and molestation legislation, what is happening in the state of California as a whole. And since we're a member of a JPA, which is a member of a JPA, which is going to give us the absolute best price we possibly can for that type of coverage, they are looking at that, and that is the biggest motivator in changes in insurance. It is not, as we discussed last time, the fires in LA. Horrible fires in LA, but that didn't have any impact on our year-over-year increases to our liability insurance. It's the same claims. So we're constantly watching that one. Going on to the next page, it starts off at the top with our contributions to restricted programs. Special ed, again, grossly underfunded from the federal government, slightly backfilled from the state government, and we contribute $14.5 million into that program. So, you know, if the federal government were going to do anything, it would be really nice if they would fund more than 32% of special ed.
Program and then don't pay for it.
Yep. Indirect costs are changing just a little bit, and our transfers out to other programs are the same as they have been for the last 3 years. We've got $300,000 going out to a technology reserve, which funds the annual replacement for 3rd grade, as our students get a new device in 3rd grade and they carry it through the rest of their career with us, so we're funded with that, as well as a paced out staff replacement for their Chromebooks, because those are also, you know, the CARES gave us, or ESSER gave us a lot of money for technology, but it didn't give us anything to keep us going on it. So we are funding out of the LCAP that $300,000 every year to go into that reserve, and we are also funding $600,000 every year out of routine restricted maintenance to go into deferred maintenance, because we've talked on various different meetings about the facility needs that we have out there. So the next page just breaks down for actual dollars for certificated, classified, management salaries, employee benefits, books and supplies. $26 million for employee benefits. That is a big chunk. That is almost as much as we invest in teachers for their salaries alone, and it's more than we invest for classified and management together to go into benefits. So, books and supplies, and then services and operating. And then as we break down the functions, what are we spending our money for in the next pie chart? Instruction, 62%, and instruction and instruction related services are the green, so at that point we're at 73% for instruction. And then all of the various different other services that we do by pupil services, administration, plant services are the smaller portions of that pie.
Well, it's all going to the kids. I mean, that's where it's supposed to be.
The bulk of it's going to the students. And if you add pupil services into that, because those pupil services are clearly for pupils, then we're at, I'm doing this math in my head, 62, 73, 84% going to students. We can be proud of that.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what it's all about.
The next page on 15 just talks about our LCAP. I don't have to go through that again because Colleen did a great job in the presentation. The only thing I would bring your attention to is the next page that shows the pie chart, which says that for goal 1, we're using 62% of our LCAP for student achievement. For goal 2, staff success is 19%, and goal 3, parent support and engagement is 19%. So fairly balanced on those two, with pupil achievement being our primary goal in that LCAP. And then finally, our reserves. We've got estimated reserves coming out of this year and projected reserves for the next 2 years. The 26-27 and 27-28, most of what's going on there is the spending down of categorical funds. We've got some one-time categorical funds that we are spending. We're trying to spend them as much as possible on one-time uses. And so as we spend those down, the total fund balance will be going down. Our unrestricted ending fund balance is going down over those years. That's a function of a projected 1% COLA for those 2 out years. The state is anticipating a recession coming. They're going to defer our June payment in this budget year into July of the following year. That's them just saying, I'll gladly pay you for an education today on Tuesday of next week. So with them not having enough cash to make their payment on time, and the instability in what the economy is doing in the state of California going forward, we have been forewarned by the CSBAs and the school services that the Legislative Analyst Office does not see a robust future for us in the short term, and just to be cautious. So we're being cautious in those projections. So what's really going on there is that 1% doesn't keep pace with step and column and all of those benefits we've talked about. And then finally, we've just got definitions of what we have in our other funds. That's just a reference for you. But going down to the last page in the color forms is a fund summary, and it hits all of the funds that the district has, where we estimate we're going to end this year, our revenue, transfers in, transfers out, and expenses in each one of those funds for next year, and where we anticipate we'll end the year. Much faster than the study session. And I'd be happy to answer any questions. The next 3 pages are the commonly used acronyms, because Lord knows in education we like letters.
I just, can you go back to the, yeah, right there. So will you give me a total percent then of what our reserves are?
I can't give you a total percent of what these reserves are, because that's not an accurate, that's not a number that I want you to hang on to, because they're all being used for something different. Okay? You can't use the Capital Facilities Fund for education.
Right.
That's developer fees, commonly known as developer fees, and it has to be used for growth. So one of the things that we are using that for is the rehab of the Sunny Slope classrooms, because we're adding classrooms. So deferred maintenance can only be used for deferred maintenance types of items, but it can't be used for replacing Chromebooks or adding to the 3rd grade cohort of Chromebooks. So to take that and give you a percentage, the thing that happens with the reserve percentage in the general fund is the reserve percentage is the total unrestricted ending fund balance, not categoricals, divided by the total of all expenses in there, including categorical expenses, to give you a percentage. So how would you do that percentage if you brought all the other funds in? And it just doesn't have the same meaning as if we did the regular unrestricted general fund.
So if I was the County Office of Education and I was looking at your budget, and I need to make sure that you are the 3% for next year and the following year and the following year, where would HSD be?
You would go to the ugly pages, you'll excuse me, but that's the SACS form. And it's page 40, so just keep scrolling all the way through until you get to page 40. And on there is the state's criteria and standard for figuring out, am I on the right one? Fund balance, maybe not the right one. No, I'm sorry, you would go to 45, and that is where the state calculates whether or not our ending fund balance meets the 3% reserve. So the criterion standards, those 28 pages of ugliness with a whole bunch of data in it, that's a report card that the state makes every single school district do. And it rates your past performance and your future projections and the size of your district and what you're doing to come up with numbers.
So do I add those two?
No, you go down to
It's just
line
3%?
9 that says, what is your 3%? And it does a calculation, and it says our 3% needs to be $3,025,000, and our total, it says that it's met.
Yes, they're all met.
They're all met.
So that means we just have 3%?
No, that means we do have 3%.
The minimum.
Minimum 3%.
So what is our actual?
I don't know that it actually gives us our actual. We then have a multi-year projection, which can be found on page, and this is why I bring this up, because I know y'all are gonna ask me really good questions, and I'm not gonna know right off the top of my head. Does it give us our percentage? Next page. On page 82, it does not give us our actual percentage, but at that point, it does tell you what your ending fund balance is. And actually on 81, it tells you that your ending fund balance is $14 million and you need to have 3 million to meet your 3%. So the simple math in my head is 369. And so, pennies, I didn't actually calculate it, I should have known better, I apologize, because I knew you were gonna ask that question, so. In, section 3F, total components of ending fund balance, 14 million, 11 million, 7 million over the course of the budget year and the 2 projection years. Then it takes a look at what we have said we are reserving for economic uncertainties of 3 million, 3 million, and 3 million. And it calculates the percentage to say, do you have enough? And the available reserves are 3% because we do 3% and we round it up. So they're just, that's part of that report card that we talked about earlier.
So it will always say 3%.
It will tell us what our reserve standard is, and it's 3%. If we were a smaller district, it would be a larger number. If we were a larger district, it would be a smaller number.
But our board goal is 10%.
10%,
right.
yes,
So
ma'am.
that's where I'm trying to,
Okay,
so are we meeting our board goal?
no. No, we are less than 10% at this budget adoption.
10% is very high, and we are
It's
good at wanting, I mean, that's perfect, we want
I
that.
wanna know where, that's why I wanna know where we are at.
I understand.
so to know where we're at, we'll talk about it at unaudited actuals when the year is actually
Okay.
done.
That sounds fair.
And at that point, I will actually have a percentage for you. If you go back to page 73, you can see what we've done for the current year and the budget year, our estimated actuals and our budget adoption. And in there, we've got our 3% at the bottom of that page. We always pull out the balance left in LCAP as a reserve because the state requires that we treat it sort of as a categorical. So that's pulled out, and the balance is then committed based on board policy 3100 and the 2 lines above that. So
Can you read it to me, cause I can't see?
that's okay. So if we're talking about the budget year, our 3% economic uncertainties is $3,026,000. The amount that is been reserved for board policy 3100 is $3,400,000. So that's just a little bit above 3%. So at that point, we're at 6%.
Okay.
Okay, that's for the budget year. When we close, we may be a little higher, we may be a little lower. It'll be based on actuals. The estimated actual is based on current budget, which, as a reminder, is spending authority, and not everything always spends to their authority.
So we're still not close to our goal.
Not at adoption and the projections. Ask me that question in September when we bring you the unaudited actuals, and I'll have an accurate number for how we actually ended the year.
Okay, that's fair.
So going back to this page.
Yes, ma'am.
That has the 61 million in fund balances.
In district-wide fund balances.
District-wide. So, I mean, there's, like, the building fund has 26 million. Is there specific things that only fall in that category that we can use those funds for?
Those are Measure M bond funds that have come back to the district.
Okay.
So, I'll give
Have
you,
we collected all of our?
we sold all of our
bonds?
bonds, and then, the last thing that we did was we billed Rancho Santana fully with bond money, waiting for the state to reimburse us. The state has recently reimbursed us for that. Because that was bond money, when the state reimbursed us, because we advanced bond funds for that, those come back in and they hold their identity as bond funds, so whatever is in the bond is what we can spend that money on. So it includes, if I'm not mistaken, it includes adding more classrooms if we needed to, or schools, which is why we were able to use it for Rancho Santana. That was our match. It also includes modernization if necessary. It includes a central kitchen. We've had conversations on central kitchen, so that language was actually written into that bond. So a lot of the things, probably nearly all of the things that are on this facility needs analysis that we have had done and we are in the middle of doing, will fall under that fund. It's just a matter of setting the priorities for what we're going to do first. Then we take that money and we pair it where appropriate with other money like deferred maintenance, and there's a lot of contracts for summer deferred maintenance work that are in the system and are going to be addressed before kids come back to school and maybe a little bit after that. Those are all on deferred maintenance, so we hit those annually. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it's usually September September, maybe October, we talk about facility funds and facility needs and facility uses, so just looking back to you as well.
Well, we've asked for a timeline in each board meeting now, in our last meeting. Didn't we ask for that?
Timeline.
Facilities?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
And that's on the governance calendar.
yeah.
That's all, yeah,
Yeah.
that's why I say, I think it's September, maybe October, I think.
Well, no, we're asking for it, like you give us a monthly, we're asking for a monthly on the facilities. We don't feel like we have a handle on it.
Okay,
There's also, I think from the May revised, there was an excessive cost hardship grant out there, from the state that would allow school districts to apply for hardship assistance in cases of extraordinary circumstances. And I don't know, like, again, with the TK,
Yeah.
you know, demand, right? And whether we have the funding or not, but, you know, I think it's good to look at to see what is out there in grants to help assist us with.
so typically with hardship grants, the state allocation board will look at, does the district have other sets of funds? And with $21 million worth of bond funds, we are less likely to be approved for a hardship grant. I'm not saying we wouldn't, I'm just saying we're just less likely. And it would have to be for a project that is either going on right now or shortly gonna start, not anything that we've already done. So it is something that we look at. We work with, I can't remember, Schaefer and Associates, who help us navigate the funding that's at the state for facilities, make sure that all of our reports are in a timely manner, and will identify various different funding that they think that, based on their experience with the district, which they've been working with us for a while, they think that we might qualify for, so.
All right.
Okay.
Any other questions on this one?
You're great, thank you.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate
Okay.
that. With that, I'm gonna go on vacation.
Well
let's
deserved.
approve.
Okay.
So, do I have a motion to approve the 25-26 adoption budget?
I'll make a motion that we approve the 25-26 adoption budget.
A second.
Roll call vote, trustee Toasty.
Aye.
Trustee Rios.
Aye.
Trustee Martinez.
Aye.
Trustee Grist,
Aye.
and I'm an aye as well.
Thank you very much.
Now you go on vacation.
Okay.
Thank you
You heard
so
it.
much.
Yep. Thank you.
Wait, he's your boss. I have to ask him.
Enjoy.
Thank you, Beth, very much.
Okay, we're gonna move on to item C, oral report and action to approve employment contract for interim superintendent Kip Ward. And I do have something I need to read out. Pursuant to Government Code Section 54953, Subdivision C3, the board provides this oral summary of the salary and/or fringe benefits for the executive position of interim superintendent to be filled by Mr. Kip Ward. The term of this amendment number 1 to the agreement shall be for 2 months, commencing on July 1st, 2025 through August 31st, 2025. The annual salary to be paid in monthly installments and prorated for any part month is unchanged and shall remain at $286,366, less all statutory and other deductions. The agreement's provision for longevity and the same health and welfare benefits as other district certificated senior management employees is unchanged by this amendment number 1. Do we have discussion or questions?
I make a motion that we accept approve the contract for interim superintendent Kip Ward according to government code 54956 section B.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Roll call vote, trustee Toasty?
Aye.
Trustee Rios?
Aye.
Trustee Martinez?
Aye.
Trustee Grist?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well, motion carries. We're moving on now for item number D, discussion and approval of annual declaration of need for fully qualified educators for the 25-26 school year, and we have Director Linda Villon.
Thank you.
Good evening. So this next item does pertain to the declaration of need for fully qualified teachers for the upcoming school year. We present this every year to the board. This document is required of us from the Commission on Teacher Credentialing so that we ensure that we are hiring teachers who meet the qualifications for the CTC while they are still perhaps finishing their interim credential requirement portion of their program, or if we are hiring teachers on emergency permits, teachers who still require EL authorization. There's different categories that this declaration covers, including B-class teachers, and this year we'll, if needed, we'll use this particular declaration of need for TK teachers. We have quite a few classes opening up, so this declaration definitely helps the district as we continue working on our staffing needs for certificated.
Alrighty, any questions or discussion? Sylvia?
I know I submitted some questions
Yes.
earlier, and I just want to make sure I understand.
Okay.
So in this declaration of need, there are 62 teaching positions that are reported on there, but that's the most that we anticipate we would need, but still over the summer, we're looking to hire and hopefully getting fully credentialed people.
Okay. So I think you may be looking at it incorrectly. I'll just clarify.
Please.
So no, we're not looking for 60 teachers over the summer. We're actually in the process of finalizing, hopefully, we have 5 teachers on deck, so we have 15 vacancies, and 5 are in progress of being filled in the next few days, and then we'll continue to recruit, go through the whole hiring process, interview process, and so forth for the remaining positions. And some of those do include TK positions. So the 60 is not a grand total of 60 bodies that we need. These are for authorizations for current teachers. We have teachers who may have started on emergency permits 3-4 years ago, and they're still working in their programs to meet the needs of their program requirement in order to be able to get their preliminary credential, or even to clear their credentials. Like I said, the declaration includes EL authorizations. We have international teachers who are still working on EL authorizations, and it's just part of the process for them. We have teachers who came in on emergency permits at HDLA who are working on their B-class authorization. They are fully bilingual and biliterate, but and they do have emergency permits for the authorization, but this declaration allows us to ask for another year of the bilingual authorization. I'm just using that as examples, but it's not 60 bodies. It's all different authorizations, and we ask for more than what we truly need, just so that we don't have to come back. So if I only needed 10, and I came here and I said, please approve 10, and you did, and we fill those 10 people all get those authorizations. If we hire a teacher mid-year, or somebody pops up, because it happens, who says, I don't have my EL authorization, or I didn't pass this portion of my program, then I have to come back and do another declaration of need, because the CTC will say you met your max. So we rather ask for more than not enough in order to capture anybody throughout the school year.
Okay, so I was reading it incorrectly. Thank you for the clarification. Thanks.
All right. Any more questions or discussion? Okay, do I have a motion to approve the annual declaration of need for fully qualified educators for the 25-26 school year?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay, roll call. Trustee Tosti?
Aye.
Trustee Rios?
Aye.
Trustee Martinez?
Aye.
Trustee Griss?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Okay,
Now I'm going on vacation.
oh, Puerto Rico. Baila conmigo. Baila muy bien. Say, I'm gonna go dancing with you. Okay. All right. Board member reports. Do we have any reports? Trustee Tosti?
Yes, I was able to attend 2 graduations, Land Lane and Rancho Santana, and they were both wonderful. They were really well prepared. The students and their families were so excited, so
Thank you. Trustee Rios?
I don't have anything to report this month.
Trustee Wilkins?
I went to Mays, Calaveras, AAA, RSS, and Ladwin, and they were great. They were a lot of fun. And, especially Mays. Sorry. My heart.
You're all mad.
Well, I started Rancho, I shouldn't say that. But I couldn't go to Rancho because of my commitments to my friend in San Bruno, so there were two I couldn't make, or I would have been to all of them, but I have a commitment, so.
Very good, and I was able to go to HDLA and May's promotion ceremony. They were beautiful. Good to see the kids happy, the parents happy, well attended. It was nice. Okay, let's move to item number 15. Are there any items that anyone wants as a future agenda item that we don't already have on our long list?
Yeah.
And the board will be happy to know I've reshared that list with Superintendent Sanchez. And we've already been talking about
Yes,
it,
in the
and
back.
as far as with the board governance calendar as well, so we're working on both those items, so it's nice to have her back.
Yeah.
I think the only thing that I had brought up before was, in preparation for the summer, was providing, our, IT department with some help to help them, you know, even just some part-time hours, offer it to in-house folks so that they're able to get all of the Chromebooks like unpacked and just, cause that's a huge, we don't have a lot of IT folks, and especially with trying to get Sunny Slope up to speed, you know, when we have projects like that pull them off with such a small crew, it makes a huge impact, you know, on what they can accomplish, and getting these Chromebooks, you know, prepared for the start of school. I don't know if that's something that can still be considered, but I think that would be a huge support for that department.
Yeah, we did talk about that, and Brandon was definitely put a smile on his face.
Okay. I mean, again, it's a win-win because we're able to offer some summer hours, right, for folks. It's just a, you know, again, they're just summer hours, you know, but I think it would help with those types of.
Well, I also think we should be offering summer hours for our groundskeepers and maintenance, if there's things that they can do to help out.
That's a union thing, but.
Oh, well, I would think, I mean, I'm just thinking of, you know, the taking care of weeding or, you know, things like that.
That's a union thing.
Why is it that a union?
Get your shovel, Jan.
Only because summer hours are a little different because it's outside the scope of, it's just unpacking and, you
Okay,
know.
awesome.
Cleaning and refurbishing. I know we did that last summer, and it helped a lot, right, Brandon?
It did help a lot, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
there's a lot of not clerical, but like, you know, inventorying or just putting an asset tag on something,
Right,
scanning it, like that kind of stuff. So, and a lot of park work.
Yeah.
A lot of park work.
Yeah.
That sounds good. All right. And nobody else with any future agenda items? Okay, let's move on to 16 announcements and reminders. Any?
No.
Enjoy vacation, wherever, summer break, you know, enjoy.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Is there any second?
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Oh, my hammer.